Boxing Ego here. If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon on the top of your screen to get notified when the latest new content drops. WBC heavyweight champion Deontay Wilder says that Anthony Joshua needs him and the US doesn't even know his name. Stay tuned. What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. Also subscribe to the channel for the latest and greatest in boxing. If you want to become part of the gang, Ego's Army, please hit that bell icon. Shout out to the Super Chat channel donations, the Venmo donations, and the Patreon family we work in. Also shout out to ESPN.com. Link is in the description. And they did an interview with Deontay Wilder. He talked about Joshua and some different things. I want to read some quotes. Wilder says, Joshua may have a country behind him, and that's it. Does he want to be remembered as a countrywide champion? Because he's not worldwide. He's not a worldwide champion. Over here in America, they don't even know his name. They just know him as a big guy from England. That's fact. I need him and he needs me at the end of the day, unless he doesn't want to unify. Unless he wants to stay over his side of the pond and let people gravitate to him and be a fake sign of what he says he is. But he will never be a global icon. You will never be a worldwide figure without me. All roads lead to Deontay Wilder. Everybody wants to see the fight. The only people that don't are his promoters. They already know how big of a risk this really is. They should be worried about how long do they really think the public, the fans of boxing, are going to allow them to stay away from me. This is the biggest fight in our era, right? He says, I am the most exciting, most entertaining fighter in the heavyweight division. Nobody in the heavyweight division is doing what I'm doing. Nobody in history is doing what I'm doing. If they feel that they want to unify, then hey, you must go through me. All roads lead to Deontay Wilder because I am going nowhere no time soon. Shout out to Wilder and ESPN for the coverage. Now, obviously, Wilder has to get past his tough task March 3rd. I do think Luis Ortiz is a tough task for anybody in the heavyweight division, right? But if he does, and if he does like he's done with every other opponent, you got to keep in mind, you could say, oh, he fights bums and bum squad, but power is power. You're not going to knock out everybody you face at some point if you don't have power and have 40 fights. You know what I mean? So he clearly has power to be able to have knocked out every single person he's ever fought. Obviously, he didn't knock out Bermane Stiverne in the first fight, but you've seen what happened in the second fight. I did, live in the flesh from Barclays Center, and it was brutal. Brutal stuff in the first round. You know what I mean? Made a quick night. But fast forward to the future, he obviously has to get past Luis Ortiz. I like what Wilder's doing. I mean, he's definitely selling himself and branding himself and riding the wave and putting pressure on. And I don't understand this generation's boxing fans. Like, it's like people turn into politicians and promoters and stuff and give you a million reasons why you shouldn't see a good fight. I never heard of that. You know what I mean? Like, if you're, I don't know, I think it's maybe a lack of faith in the fighter and that they want to win or whatever, because I can't see any other reason. Because if you're really confident, let's say you're a Golden State Warriors fan, I know that's a team sport, but if you're really confident in the Warriors, why would you not want to see them play against the Cavs or the Boston Celtics just because that's another good team? You know what I mean? So you don't want to see it. That means you don't have as much faith and you think it's going to be a risk. And that's kind of what Wilder's saying. He's like, the only people that don't want to see it are his promoters. And the only thing I would add on to that is I think there's a lot of fans who don't want to see it for the same reason. Just like I've always said, fear. You know what I mean? They don't want, Joshua's doing very well for himself, and they don't want the possibility. I'm not saying he absolutely loses to Wilder. That's why I want to see it, to see what would happen. But there's definitely a possibility that if Klitschko can hurt you with the right, and I know Klitschko's powerful, but he's not as aggressive and rangy and athletic at age 40, 41 as a Deontay Wilder, and his temperament is definitely not as aggressive as Wilder. So I mean, anything can happen when you're talking about big ass heavyweights. So if Klitschko put Joshua down to hurt him, I don't doubt that if Wilder connects the right punch, that he can hurt him. Now, as far as this whole thing, the other thing is Wilder, he's done a good job covering his tracks. He's already been on the record saying that he would travel to the UK if need be to unify, because he wants there to be one champion, one name, and he thinks he'll beat Joshua. So he says if he has to come to the UK, then it is what it is. But he believes the money's in the United States. So there's a lot of detractors and fans who, oh, see, Wilder wants 50-50. He's ducking. He wants the fight to happen in the US. He's ducking. Like, you know what I mean? They're so quick to put the duck tag. I don't think someone would be putting this boa constrictor, you know what I mean, type of pressure on somebody if they really didn't want to fight. So it's like those detractors and those fans are looking for any out to say that they believe Wilder is now ducking. Oh, he doesn't want to fight Dillian Whyte to bring up his name. And it doesn't work like that. You know what I mean? He's already mentioned he'll go to the UK, but he feels the money's in the US in terms of like Livegate and stuff like that. Some detractors are going to say, oh, no one knows Wilder's name in America, which is false. I've been to Wilder fights. I've covered him. He was taking pictures and doing autographs and the whole nine. Now, this is the thing. You got to understand, I'm not going to keep talking about this because it gets old after a while. America is vast, right? It's a big place. So there's multiple things that boxing is competing with. Like, I know some friends that they like boxing, like they're okay with it, but they don't get behind it the same way they do the NBA or the NFL, you know what I mean, the Super Bowl, stuff like that. So when we have our little Super Bowls, these mega fights that we want to see as boxing fans, they might not know all the details and like, oh, okay, Danny Garcia, Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia's last 3 fights and no Keith Thurman's last 3 fights. So boxing in America has to compete with a lot. It's not the same in the UK, and I used to live there. You know what I mean? They have loyal, great fans, electric fans, but I mean, this is no shade to the UK, but this is just from what I've seen. The UK, they're also so loyal that they accept lesser like cards. Like you could put James DeGale versus Caleb Truex or some shit on pay-per-view in the UK. Now, granted, it might not be too much money in pounds or whatever, but it's still a pay-per-view deal. You know what I mean? That couldn't be a pay-per-view in America. It wouldn't. You know what I mean? They just wouldn't put that on a pay-per-view, or you know what I mean? Like it'd be, I don't know, like Anthony Yard, Daniel Dubois, or whoever, Lee Selby versus like little known low ranked people, and it'll be on pay-per-view. So you know what I mean, it's just different markets. And the funny thing is, all the people who are gonna say, oh, Wilder, you're just on Wilder's side, he doesn't know, things like that. Funny thing is, there's a guy who's also British from the UK named Amir Khan, and he just did a recent interview and he corroborated and or agrees with Wilder and said virtually the same thing. Amir Khan did a recent interview. Now you could, again, this is where boxing gets tricky because people start bringing, oh, Khan's chin, so he can't have an opinion because you don't value his chin. You know what I'm saying? They just bring up stupid shit. But Amir Khan said the same thing. He says, that's how I got my name bigger, by fighting in the States. America is a big place, it's a great place. And he thinks that Anthony Joshua should have a fight before Wilder in America to build up his presence and get that worldwide acclaim, like Wilder is saying. It's basically the same thing Wilder's saying. They're both saying the same thing. You know what I mean? Joshua should fight in the US. And I mean, even Klitschko fought a lot in Germany and stuff, but he still fought Brian Jennings in New York and stuff like that. Lennox Lewis, we obviously know the Mike Tyson fights, and he had big fights. Tommy Morrison, I think all those fights were in the US, even David Tua, you know what I mean? Different things like that. So it's not out of the question for a fighter from the UK to fight in the States. If anything, that's how a lot of Americans, which is a bigger place, would be familiar with you. You know what I mean? I probably wouldn't know about Lennox Lewis growing up when I left England, if, you know what I mean, if he wasn't fighting actual Americans and fighting in America and stuff, you know what I mean, or it would take longer. Like, it's just like one of my favorite actors right now is Tom Hardy, but I didn't know about some of his earlier roles. But when he started doing roles like Inception and obviously Batman and Lawless and stuff like that, and he started doing American movies, now I'm like, oh, this dude can act. He got acting chops. He's dope. You know what I mean? But he had a lot of smaller roles, and it wasn't until later that I got to see some of those, because you know what I mean, I don't know some of the small independent British films and stuff like that. But there's a good one called Layer Cake with the dude that played James Bond that looks like Joe Montana. But little stuff like that, I didn't know who Tom Hardy was way back then. You know what I mean? It took for him to do bigger roles. And see that, and it's weird because like you look at even actors, like I said, their whole goal, most of them, like guys from the UK, is they come to America and they're looking for big roles because they know what America is and how, like I said, how vast it is. Idris Elba, Christian Bale, and stuff like that. They're not just going to the UK where they're from and doing a bunch of pictures. They come to America. They're trying to get on the silver screen in American theaters. You know what I mean? But in boxing, Joshua has basically said, I don't know if I'll ever fight in the US. I don't know if I need to. We got a thing here and it's working. Yeah, it is working for sure. You know what I mean? You're selling out good venues and stuff, but to enhance your brand, I mean, how would it hurt you to make a presence in the United States? You know what I mean? I don't see how it would hurt you. If anything, it will strengthen you, because Joshua has the look, you know what I mean? Ladies like him, in shape, seems dedicated to his craft, works hard. So, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to build your presence in the US. But that's my thoughts. I mean, this is the last thing I got to say too is, and I'm going to wait and see. I'm not going to jump to a million conclusions, but Wilder keeps pushing for this Joshua fight, and I keep seeing Team Joshua, be it Eddie Hearn or whoever, mention all these other names, not name Wilder. Like Alexander Povetkin might get a shot. That's why we're putting him on the undercard, or Tyson Fury if he wants, or Gerald Big Baby Miller. And you know the fight that people want to see is Joshua Wilder. So I'm going to wait to see, because obviously they have to get past their next fights, which they're no pushover opponents. Joseph Parker for AJ, and then Luis Ortiz for Wilder. So I'm going to see how this thing plays out. But that's my 2 cents. I do think Wilder should align himself with the US. I really do. I don't see how that would hurt him. So I agree with Wilder and Amir Khan. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. Make sure you smash the like button as always. Hate, comment, and subscribe. Till next video is Ego signing off. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button. And you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.